The foundation of any healthy relationship begins with you. If you don't believe in your own worth, it's nearly impossible to believe that someone else can see it. We often hear about love, but true love starts with self-love. Every woman must first choose to recognize her own value, her own strength. You don't need anyone to validate you. You are already enough. It's easy to go silent when we feel that our voice might disrupt the peace. But here's the truth. Peace that's built on silence is not peace at all. It's merely avoidance. Healthy relationships are rooted in honest conversations. Choose to communicate your needs, your desires, your fears, and your dreams. When we don't speak up, we deny ourselves the opportunity to be truly understood. It's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to please, to be the person others expect you to be. But that comes at a cost, the cost of your own happiness. Remember, your purpose is bigger than pleasing someone else. The most empowering thing you can do is live in alignment with your values, to choose actions that serve you, and to recognize that your purpose is never up for negotiation. Before anything else in life, especially in relationships, a woman must begin with self-worth. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. How you allow yourself to be treated, how you communicate, how you set boundaries, how you love and expect to be loved in return. If you don't believe that you are worthy, if you don't truly understand your value, the relationship you choose will reflect that doubt. It will mirror your insecurities, not your potential. Self-worth isn't about arrogance or ego. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about standing in your truth, knowing who you are, and recognizing that you are enough as you are without needing to earn love, prove your value, or shrink yourself to be more palatable to someone else. And yet, so many women walk into relationships unsure of their worth, quietly hoping that their partner will see something in them that they struggle to see in themselves. That's a dangerous place to be, because when your worth is dependent on someone else's perception, you give away your power. The reality is, no one can give you your worth. They can only reflect it back to you. If you don't see it, it won't matter how much someone else praises you. You'll find reasons to dismiss the compliments. You'll question their love. You'll overthink their silence. Because deep down, a voice will whisper, and that voice will drive you to overextend, over-apologize, over-give. You'll start negotiating with your needs. You'll tolerate less than you deserve just to avoid being alone. But being alone is not the worst outcome. Being with someone who makes you feel small while you abandon yourself is far worse. A woman rooted in self-worth doesn't chase. She doesn't beg for attention, for love, for time. She knows that what she brings to the table is valuable, and if someone cannot see that, it is not her job to convince them. She doesn't confuse emotional unavailability with depth or drama with passion. She knows peace is not boring, it's healing. She doesn't lower her standards in fear of being too much. She honors them because she knows the right person won't be intimidated by her, but inspired. Self-worth means knowing that your needs are not too much, that you don't have to justify your standards or soften your voice to be accepted. It means walking away when something doesn't feel right, even if it's hard, even if your heart aches, because you understand that settling is a form of self-abandonment. It means recognizing that your time, energy, body, and emotions are valuable, and they shouldn't be poured endlessly into someone who doesn't reciprocate with care, respect, and intentionality. When a woman leads with self-worth, she approaches love differently. She loves openly, but not blindly. She gives, but not at the cost of her own well-being. She understands that compromise is a part of any relationship, but not when it requires sacrificing who she is. She listens to her intuition, not just her feelings. She doesn't hold on to people who repeatedly show her they cannot show up for her. And most importantly, she doesn't wait to be chosen. She chooses herself first. This isn't just about relationships, it's about your entire life. The way you value yourself sets the tone for how others will value you. And when you deeply know your worth, you don't tolerate anything less than what aligns with your truth. That's not pride, that's alignment. That's power, that's love, beginning exactly where it should, within. In every relationship, communication is the bridge between two individuals, the lifeline that sustains connection, understanding, and growth. And yet many women, often without realizing it, trade their voice for approval. They conform to keep the peace, to avoid conflict, to be accepted or loved. But true connection isn't built on silence. It's built on the courage to speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. Choosing to communicate instead of conforming means allowing yourself to be fully seen. It means expressing your needs, your boundaries, your fears, your dreams, not shrinking them down to fit into someone else's comfort zone. When you conform, you become who you think the other person wants you to be. You start editing parts of yourself, withholding your opinions, or agreeing just to avoid disagreement. You might smile when you're hurting, nod when you're unsure, or stay silent when something doesn't sit right with you. Over time, that silence becomes heavy. You begin to feel disconnected, not just from your partner, but from yourself. Communication isn't always easy. It requires vulnerability. It means risking that the other person might not understand or might not respond the way you hoped. But without communication, you're not in a relationship, you're in a performance. And performing is exhausting. You can only hold up the mask for so long before resentment begins to build, before your needs go unmet and your voice fades into the background of your own life. It's not about always getting your way or dominating the conversation. It's about building a relationship where both people feel safe to show up honestly. That kind of connection doesn't just happen, it's created, one conversation at a time. When you communicate, you give the other person a chance to really know you. And if someone truly cares for you, they will want to understand. They may not always agree, and that's okay, but they will respect you more for being honest than for being agreeable. There's a difference between compromise and conformity. Compromise means both people come to the table with honesty and a willingness to find middle ground. Conformity means one person abandons themselves to keep the other comfortable. That's not love. It's self-betrayal. And in the long run, it never leads to a healthy, fulfilling partnership. Communicating also means being able to name what you feel. Sometimes we expect others to just get it, to read our minds or pick up on our moods. But clarity is kindness. If something bothers you, say it. If you need support, ask for it. If you feel distant, talk about it. The more clearly you can communicate, the more chance there is for real understanding, for real connection. And yes, it takes practice, especially if you've grown up in environments where your voice wasn't encouraged or where being quiet was rewarded. But you have the right to take up space. You have the right to speak your truth. You don't have to agree with everything, and you don't have to hide parts of yourself to be loved. Choosing to communicate is choosing to stay rooted in your authenticity. It's choosing growth over comfort. It's choosing intimacy over illusion. And the truth is, the right person won't be intimidated by your voice. They'll value it. They'll listen. They'll grow with you. Because when communication flows, relationships flourish. And when you stop conforming, you start creating a life and love that reflects who you truly are. You don't have to be quiet to be loved. You don't have to conform to belong. You just have to be brave enough to speak. In the journey of relationships, it's easy to lose sight of ourselves in the pursuit of connection. Many women are conditioned, consciously or not, to be caretakers, to make others comfortable, to be agreeable, accommodating, and selfless. Somewhere along the way, this can evolve into people-pleasing, putting others' needs ahead of your own, even when it means sacrificing your purpose, your peace, and your personal growth. But there comes a point when you must make a powerful choice to prioritize your purpose over pleasing others. Pleasing people might feel safe. It can give you a temporary sense of approval, of being liked, of avoiding conflict. But when your life starts revolving around how others perceive you, you begin to disconnect from your deeper why, your reason for being. Your dreams, your individuality. You start making decisions based on external expectations, not internal convictions. You agree to things you don't want. You stay in situations that no longer serve you. You mold yourself to fit into boxes you were never meant to live in. Purpose, on the other hand, is not always convenient. It often requires uncomfortable choices. It asks you to stand firm when it would be easier to stay quiet. It pushes you to grow, to evolve, and sometimes to walk away from people, places, and habits that keep you small. But purpose gives your life direction. It gives you meaning. It fuels resilience, self-respect, and true fulfillment. When you prioritize purpose, you stop asking, will they like me? And start asking, is this right for me? That question changes everything. It shifts your focus inward toward alignment. It allows you to assess whether your actions reflect your values, whether your relationships are helping you rise or slowly breaking you down. Purpose doesn't mean abandoning love. It means ensuring love doesn't require abandoning yourself. The truth is, people-pleasing doesn't lead to deeper relationships. It leads to quiet resentment, to exhaustion, to losing your identity in the hopes of being accepted. You might be liked, but you won't feel loved, not truly, because the version of you they're responding to isn't the real you. It's the filtered, polished, edited version you think they want. That's not connection. That's performance. A woman living in her purpose knows that saying no doesn't make her mean. Setting boundaries doesn't make her cold. Speaking her truth doesn't make her difficult. It makes her honest. It makes her powerful. It makes her free. She's not afraid to disappoint someone else if it means staying true to herself. That kind of clarity is magnetic. It doesn't push the right people away. It draws them in. The right partner won't need you to shrink. They'll respect your mission, your passions, your path. They'll understand that your light doesn't dim theirs, it adds to it. Living in purpose also means embracing your individuality. You weren't meant to be a mirror of someone else's desires. You have unique gifts, talents, and callings. When you suppress those to make others comfortable, you rob the world of your impact, and you rob yourself of the life you were meant to live. The goal isn't to stop caring about others, it's to stop abandoning yourself in the process. You can be kind without being a doormat. You can be loving without being self-sacrificing. You can be supportive without being silent. That balance is found when you let your purpose lead. So ask yourself, are you living to be liked, or are you living to be fulfilled? Because every time you choose purpose over pleasing, you honor your truth. And when you live from that place, the right people will see you. Not just the version of you that aims to please, but the real, powerful, purposeful woman you are. In relationships, it's easy to believe that saying yes all the time, being endlessly available, and tolerating discomfort is what love looks like. But love without boundaries quickly becomes a burden. Far too often, women are praised for being selfless, for giving endlessly, for putting everyone else first. But that praise can become a trap. There's a difference between kindness and self-neglect, between compromise and self-abandonment. And that difference is boundaries. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out. It's not about building emotional walls or creating distance for the sake of control. Boundaries are not barriers. They're bridges. Tools for connection, not isolation. They clarify expectations, promote mutual respect, and protect the emotional health of both individuals. Boundaries say, this is how I care for myself, and this is what I need to stay whole. They are rooted in self-awareness, self-respect, and courage. Without boundaries, resentment grows. You start saying yes when you want to say no. You give when you're already drained. You tolerate behavior that makes you uncomfortable because you don't want to cause conflict. Over time, you begin to feel invisible, unheard, even unworthy, not because others are necessarily mistreating you, but because you haven't clearly communicated how you want to be treated. Boundaries are the framework that teach others how to love and respect you. Many women hesitate to set boundaries because they fear being labeled as difficult, cold, or demanding. But the reality is, people who are meant to be in your life won't leave because you respect yourself. They'll stay because they do too. And the people who walk away when you start honoring your limits, they were only comfortable with the version of you who overextended, who stayed silent, who made their life easier at the expense of your own peace. Healthy boundaries aren't selfish. They're essential. They allow you to give from a place of fullness, not obligation. They ensure that love isn't given out of guilt or fear, but out of freedom. When you have strong boundaries, your relationships become more honest, more respectful, and more sustainable. You stop feeling like you're constantly being pulled in 100 directions, and you begin to feel grounded, centered, and in control of your emotional energy. Setting boundaries might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to prioritizing your needs. You may face resistance, people may push back, but that discomfort is temporary and necessary. Growth always involves a little discomfort. The discomfort of setting a boundary is far less painful than the long-term damage of constantly crossing your own lines. Boundaries are not about controlling others, they're about controlling how you respond. You can't force someone to respect you, but you can choose to not engage where you are not respected. You can't change someone else's behavior, but you can decide what behavior you will allow into your life. That's power. That's self-leadership. That's what keeps you aligned with your values and your peace. When you set boundaries with love and clarity, you invite others into a relationship that is real, transparent, and rooted in mutual care. You no longer have to guess where you stand. You no longer carry the emotional weight of trying to keep everyone happy. You learn to say no without guilt and yes without resentment. In the end, boundaries are an act of love, not just for others, but for yourself. They say, I matter too. My feelings count. My time is valuable. My well-being is a priority. That's not closing yourself off. That's showing up more fully. Because when your boundaries are clear, your presence becomes more authentic, your love more generous, and your life more peaceful. In a world that often romanticizes control, jealousy, and dependency, it's easy to confuse possession with love. We hear phrases like, you're mine, or I can't live without you, and they're framed as passionate declarations. But real love doesn't seek to own, it seeks to grow. Choosing partnership over possession is one of the most empowering choices a woman can make in her relationship. Because while possession cages, partnership sets you free. When a relationship is built on possession, it becomes about control. One person tries to define the other, to limit them, to hold power in subtle or obvious ways. Possessiveness might be disguised as care. I just want to protect you. Or I get jealous because I love you so much. But what it really communicates is fear, insecurity, and a need to dominate rather than understand. Love that possesses doesn't trust. It demands, it restricts, it thrives on dependency rather than mutual respect. On the other hand, partnership is rooted in equality, in shared growth, in freedom. A true partner doesn't clip your wings. They cheer you on as you learn to fly. They don't see your independence as a threat, but as a strength. They support your goals, celebrate your uniqueness, and walk beside you, not in front of you or behind you. In a partnership, both individuals retain their identity. They come together not because they need each other to be whole, but because they choose to share the journey. For a woman, choosing partnership means honoring her individuality. It means refusing to dissolve into someone else's shadow, refusing to be defined solely by her role in someone else's life. You are not someone's other half. You are a whole person with dreams, desires, and a voice that deserves to be heard. When you choose partnership, you declare that your life is not a project for someone else to manage. It's your own. Possession often operates through fear. Fear of losing someone, fear of being replaced, fear of being left behind. That fear drives control, checking in constantly, monitoring, questioning, isolating. It doesn't create closeness, it creates pressure. It stifles joy, it builds walls where there should be bridges. Over time, a relationship based on possession drains your sense of self. You begin to shrink, to silence your truth, to compromise your freedom for the illusion of security. But a relationship rooted in partnership feels different. It's marked by trust, even in uncertainty. There's space to breathe, to explore, to evolve, both together and individually. Disagreements don't become power struggles. They become opportunities to understand each other more deeply. There's no scoreboard, no manipulation, no need to prove worth constantly. Instead, there is respect, patience, and a shared vision for life. Choosing partnership also means choosing accountability. In a possessive dynamic, one person often assumes authority while the other submits. But in a partnership, both people take responsibility for their actions, their emotions, and the health of the relationship. You grow together. You hold space for each other's wounds without using them as weapons. You uplift rather than control. The beauty of partnership is that it doesn't ask you to give up your independence, it honors it. It welcomes your full self to the table. You're not required to shrink, to obey, or to prove your loyalty through sacrifice. You're encouraged to rise and to bring your partner along with you. In the end, love isn't about ownership, it's about choice. Every day choosing each other freely, not out of fear or dependency, but out of mutual admiration, respect, and alignment. That's what partnership looks like, and it's far more powerful, more enduring, and more real than possession could ever be. Growth is not something that should be earned through pain or handed out as a reward for being agreeable. It should be a standard, a requirement, a non-negotiable in any healthy relationship. Too often, women are taught to be patient to a fault, to wait for change, to believe that love means enduring stagnation in the hope that things will get better. But growth, personal, emotional, relational, should be present from the start, not promised for the future, not dangled like a prize. Real love grows. And anything that stays stuck or demands that you stay small is not love, it's limitation. When growth is treated as a reward, it becomes something conditional. You might hear, I'll go to therapy if things get worse, or I'll support your dreams when the timing is right, or I'll change if you just hang in there a little longer. And so you wait, you compromise, you try harder, you take on the emotional labor. But growth doesn't work that way. It isn't something you wait for someone to give you permission to pursue. It's something you demand through how you show up, how you speak your truth, and how you align your life. A relationship that requires you to pause your progress to keep the peace is a relationship that's keeping you behind. You weren't meant to dim your light just so someone else feels more comfortable in the shadows, and you weren't meant to constantly motivate someone else to grow while you put your own growth on hold. That's not love. That's imbalance. A relationship should be a place where growth is cultivated, where both people are committed to becoming better, together and individually. It doesn't mean you're both perfect or always moving at the same pace, but it means there's a shared mindset. We don't settle. We don't stay stuck in unhealthy patterns. We communicate, we evolve, we take responsibility, and we keep showing up to do the work. That's what makes a relationship healthy, not the absence of struggle, but the presence of shared growth. For a woman, choosing growth as a requirement means no longer tying your worth to someone else's potential. You stop romanticizing the idea of who they could become and start paying attention to who they are right now. You stop waiting for the relationship to finally feel good and start asking whether it's actually aligned with your values and vision. You realize that love isn't just about feelings, it's about direction. Are we moving forward together, or am I carrying this relationship on my back? Making growth a requirement also means being honest with yourself. It means checking your own patterns, your willingness to settle, your fear of being alone, your desire to fix. It means holding yourself to the same standard you ask of your partner. Are you showing up for yourself? Are you doing your inner work? Are you walking the talk or just hoping someone else will grow so you don't have to change? The right relationship will never ask you to stay the same. It will challenge you, inspire you, and support your expansion. It won't just be a comfort zone. It will be a launch pad. The people in your life should be watering your roots and celebrating your blooms, not cutting you down when you reach too high. And you should be doing the same in return. Growth is not a luxury. It's not something to be earned after you've suffered enough. It's a necessity for love, for fulfillment, for freedom. So stop settling for promises and potential. Start expecting alignment, accountability, and real effort. Because you deserve a relationship that doesn't just feel good for a moment, but grows with you for a lifetime.